Hi, my name is Susan Kopins. I'm registered dietitian with WellSpan Bariatric Surgery. And today we are going to talk about shopping on a budget. With shopping on a budget, it's really important to keep yourself organized and stick to a list. So to get us started today, the first and most important thing we need to start with is a menu. That will get us organized with our shopping list, and that will keep us on track, and also which potentially will lead us to staying on a budget. Okay, so let's talk about developing a menu. Some easy ways to think about menu planning is you don't have to cook every single day. And I prefer to cook about every other day. So on the days that I do cook, I always cook a little extra. So then I can use the extra leftovers for another meal and switch it up with a different vegetable. Now you got a different meal. So let's talk about a menu. What would that look like? Well, maybe Sunday you could cook on a grill. Maybe Tuesday you could plan a crock-pot meal. And maybe Thursday we plan something in Mexican. So if we're picking on the grill, you want to think about, well, what kind of meats do you want to cook on a grill? And every Sunday, you're going to cook a different meat. So that kind of sets you up for a simple cycle. And once you run out of all your options, then you repeat that same cycle. In addition, you can plan your vegetables. Do you want to grill some vegetables on the grill, or do you want to roast vegetable, or do you want to provide it with a side salad? You can mix all those options up, and when you run out of those options, then you repeat the cycle again. Maybe on Tuesdays you want to do a crock-pot meal. Crock-pot is super easy. You just put the ingredients in the crock-pot, put the lid on top, and let it cook for 6 to 8 hours, depending on your recipe, which is super easy. Just walk away. And you can also put some extra protein in it, so you can use those extra leftovers. And then maybe on Thursday, you could do a Mexican theme. So we love tacos. So you could do a chicken taco one week. You could do a shrimp taco one week. You could do beef taco, and then switch it up and repeat the cycle. You could do maybe a quesadilla one in this cycle, or you could do fajitas in the cycle, and you run out of all those options, and then you repeat your cycle. So if you know that you're going to cook on those days, then you're going to set up your menu, and those items are going to be on your grocery list. So as you're creating your grocery list, then you can look at all of these, write down all of these options to keep you on track when you get to the grocery store. So in summary, for your menu cycles, you want to keep it as simple as you can, use a similar theme to each week, and repeat the cycle. Incorporate different varieties of your meats and your vegetables, even your fruits, and that adds a lot of variety into your meals so you don't get so stuck in a rut. And more importantly, it will be great menu planning for after your surgery to keep up with all of your nutrition needs. Let's talk about fruits and vegetables. On a budget, you want to look for your seasonal vegetables and fruits. Usually when it's seasonal, it's a little bit cheaper to buy. If fresh isn't as accessible, the next best to fresh is your frozen. Frozen vegetables you can get pretty inexpensively, and they keep longer in your freezer. So fresh, you only want to buy what you're going to use in the week. And then for frozen vegetables, they're good in your freezer for up to 6 months. Have a couple different options in your freezer, and it's a quick steamer bag, or if you like to cook them in a steamer on your stovetop. So again, it gives you some options and some variety. One of the most important things of staying on budget is shopping with a grocery list. So how do we stay on track with a grocery list? I keep a pen and paper handy in my kitchen. So when I run out of foods, I'm always writing down a little list to keep track of the things that I need. You can also ask Alexa to keep a list for you. I know people like to do that. Or you can go on your phone and say, keep a grocery reminder list of the things that you need. So you can do it electronically or you can write it down, but you want to keep yourself organized. Some key questions to ask yourself as you set up your grocery list is more important. We're going to start with protein foods because protein is one of the most important things that we want to eat, especially after our bariatric surgery. So what kind of protein foods do I have in my freezer? What kind of protein foods do I have in my refrigerator? What types of protein foods do I have in my pantry? So you want to check your inventory, and when you use foods frequently, you want to make sure that you have enough to maintain your inventory for at least a week or longer. In the freezer, those are your long-term options that keeps you on track with planning those grill meals or your crock-pot meals, things like that. The foods in your refrigerator and your pantry, those are more of your ready-to-cook, ready-to-grab, quick meal plan option. So you need a little bit of both. You need that variety. When you write your grocery list, you want to try to write the list in the order that you go in the grocery store. The majority of the foods that you're going to pick are going to come from the perimeter of the grocery store. So what does that mean? That means the outside edge of a grocery store. Most of them are set up in a similar fashion, but there are probably some nuances, some specifics about a different store. So be familiar with the layout of your grocery store. Generally in the perimeter of the grocery store, you're going to find your deli section, you're going to have your produce section, the meats, fresh meats, fish, seafood, and sometimes the frozen area is on the outside end section, or it's right up the middle of the grocery store. So you can set up the order of your grocery list in the way that you walk through the store, which will help you also stay on track. Another way to stay on budget is grocery stores usually have their own in-store flyers. So each week they have their own specials, they have discounts. If you use the shopping card, usually most grocery stores have their own shopping card, and they also always have things marked down, cheaper prices, quantity, 2-for-1 kinds of things. And those are things you want to keep in mind, especially for foods that you use frequently in your cooking. So look for those specials and use the shopping discount card because that will also usually can save you up to $40 on a shopping trip, that's a pretty good savings. If you see meats on sale, I would always pick up a little bit extra. Even though if you're not going to cook the extra, you're going to save the extra, portion it into a freezer packaging, and store the extra. So you don't always have to buy meat if you cook it frequently every time you go to the grocery store. But when you see it on sale, that is the time to pick up a little extra. When you freeze the meats, you want to take it out of the packaging because the freezer wrap or the wrap that the meats are usually in are not for long-term freezer. So you want to put it in, I like to use the Ziploc freezer bag, and it also has a little box where you can write in the date. So that's important to write down what is the meat that you have in there and put the date, because sometimes that meat gets lost in your freezer, so you really want to remember the dates that you have these things. Also, foods look a little different when you freeze them, so that's another reason why you want to label that. Another simple part of meal planning is when you buy these extra meats, say for instance if there's chicken or if there's pork or even salmon, I like to make a marinade and I freeze the meats in a marinade. So when I take them out to cook, they're already marinating and then they're ready to cook at the end of the day. So that simplifies some of that menu planning we were talking about. A lot of grocery stores now, like Giant and Walmart, Wise, Amazon, they have a grocery delivery service, whether it's grocery delivery or you pre-order your foods. All you have to do is show up and pick up your groceries. You don't have to do the in-store shopping yourself. Some people don't like to go grocery shopping. Okay, but you have to organize yourself to even shop online. But those shopping online and picking up is very popular and it's very easy to do. Especially with the online shopping delivery, if you don't have maybe transportation, you have limited transportation, then you can use this home delivery service as an option. When you use a service like that, you establish your grocery list online, And it saves that. So every time when you want to shop at that place, you already have a memory of what you had before. And from that, you can edit. You can take things off. You can add new things. But you have a baseline to keep yourself organized. So over time, it probably is going to get easier for you. And that's really good. For shopping on a budget and you use coupons, you want to make sure that the coupons have a current expiration date. So they can't use an expired coupon. And some stores will even double or even triple the coupon value. So if you had 50 cents off on a carton of milk, you could actually get $1 off your milk. So it's different foods, different coupons, but only use coupons for foods that you're actually going to eat. There's a lot of coupons for things that you may not like. It doesn't mean you should buy them. Only use coupons for the things that you buy frequently. And that will also another benefit of shopping on a budget. Some other budget-friendly options would be trying to go meatless. There's a theme out there called Meatless Monday. And going meatless includes you can have eggs, you can use beans, so vegetarian types options, even tofu if you like tofu. If you've never cooked with it, it's not that hard. Look for some recipes. But all of these are good alternatives to meat that are friendly on your budget. Beans, any kind of bean, black beans, red beans, navy beans, pinto beans. They're called meat extenders. So you can cook some ground meat and add some beans to it, and you've increased the protein value of the food without adding a lot of money to your budget. Because meats are going to be your more pricey items. And so beans are a nice alternative to an inexpensive option. You can use dried beans and buy dried beans or lentils. With beans, you have to soak them overnight before you can cook with them. If you have an Instapot, you can put them in an Instapot and do the short version, which I think it's about 30 minutes cooking in an Instapot for the dried bean, and they're ready to use that day. So beans and dried beans are really inexpensive. You can get dried beans for about $3 a bag, and it will give you probably about 4 cups worth of beans to cook with. So those are super easy. Canned beans are another easy option because they're ready to eat. They're ready to use. They're cooked. You just got to incorporate them into the food to warm them up. Canned beans are also pretty inexpensive. I know some people are concerned about the sodium in canned items. With beans, just put the beans, pour them into a strainer, and run the bean under fresh running water for up to 2 minutes, and that will remove more than 50% of the sodium from the bean. So if that helps you with controlling your sodium, that's an easy option, and then just add the bean right into the food as you're cooking. Lentils are another great protein source. Some people don't know what they are. It's similar to a pea kind of thing with a little bit more crunch. They cook really quickly within 20 to 30 minutes. They not only give you some protein, but they're high in fiber and, again, really inexpensive. So they're easy to incorporate into your budget and into your menu. Eggs are pretty universal. They're super versatile, and they can be used for breakfast or lunch or dinner. So if you want to switch things up, make yourself an omelet, throw in your vegetables. Maybe you don't want a vegetable. Maybe you just want to do the meats with some bean in it, or do some eggs with bean with some cheese in it, and then throw salad on the side. You have an entree. That could be lunch or dinner. You can do hard-boiled eggs. You can do egg salad. You can add eggs onto your salads. And with your entrees, again, another way to add a little protein and still keep you within a budget. You can also make an easy meal would be eggs in a cup. So you get a cupcake tin and you crack your egg in a tin, add some vegetables, maybe chop up some extra meat, add it in there, bake it in the oven, and then you have a single serve egg cup. And if you make 12 ahead, then you have a week's worth of egg breakfast or lunch or dinner. Easy and convenient. There's a website in the materials called The World According to Eggface. It's a funny name, but the owner of the site had bariatric surgery several years ago and has lost and maintained more than 100 pounds. And she has she has some recipes that she posts on her site. And if you look on the header under bites, that's where you'll find the recipe for these egg cups. Other cost savings for protein would use some dried milk powder and mix them into different types of foods. It won't go with everything, but it can be incorporated into foods pretty easily. So for instance, yogurt, if you like your yogurt, we need a little bit protein in it. You could incorporate a little bit more of the dried powder. You can add dried milk powder into a pudding mix. So make your pudding, buy the sugar-free powder, make it with your low-fat milk, and then also incorporate some extra dried milk powder, and that will also add more protein value to the pudding. Again, keeping you on a budget, staying within the budget. Cottage cheese is another great source of protein. Not everybody likes it. You don't have to have it, but it's an inexpensive, high-quality protein food option, and it's very versatile because you can add fruit to it for a little sweet trick, or you can add like tomato slices or cucumber slices with some salt and pepper, and that would be your savory option. So it's a super versatile thing. You can blend it with like if you make lasagna, you can blend it with the ricotta cheese, put it in the blender, whip it up. Nobody knows that there's cottage cheese in there, and it makes it really creamy, cheesy. That's what we all like about lasagna. If there's things that you use frequently and in high quantity, you may want to consider looking at buying things in bulk. But you have to compare the price point per individual serving. So usually at the grocery stores on the labels, the prices are per unit. So you really kind of have to pay attention to those details. But if there's things that you use frequently, for instance, we use a lot of Greek yogurt in our house, so we don't buy the single cups, we buy the big containers because it's actually cheaper to portion it into a smaller container versus buying it single. Now, for the single serve, it's super convenient. They're packable, they're portable, they're ready to grab and go, throw it in your lunch bag, take it with a picnic. So I understand the convenience, but sometimes you have to pay for that convenience. So you just want to kind of be mindful of those price points. If you're trying to reduce snacking, so this is something that we talk about in our consults, and we want to be careful about how much snacking you do. And snack foods are getting very pricey. So don't buy a ton of snack foods. Maybe pick one or two snack foods and then save the money that you save by not buying extra snacks, even extra soda, because soda is also another very pricey grocery item. Take that money that you save and purchase the protein foods that are usually a little bit more pricey in your grocery cart. So for instance, a bag of Doritos, $5, right? With that $5, you could buy a roaster chicken on sale. And then the roaster chicken, you probably can get 2 or 3 meals out of one roaster chicken versus one Dorito bag snack that gets you a couple of snacks. So this is kind of that cost savings exchange that we're talking about. One big important thing is don't shop hungry. When you're hungry, everything looks good, and you want to put everything in your grocery cart. But that will not allow you to stay on your grocery budget. So make sure that you're fueled up, maybe have a little snack before you head out, maybe carry water with you, and don't give in to your temptation of wanting to buy everything. Generally, when people shop hungry, they pick things that are so good, and then they bring it home and they're like, why did I buy this? So don't shop hungry. Keep yourself on your list. Follow your list. Another strategy for staying on budget is check for the store brand labels for your foods. A lot of the store brand items are a major brand, but they, like Giant puts their own name on it, or the Safeway puts their own name on it, and it's always cheaper. So that's also another really important option to consider, especially when you're on a budget. We want to avoid processed foods. We're paying for convenience. The prepackaged sweets and treats and snacks, those are the things we had talked about that are actually pretty expensive when you look at it. When we limit the amount that we're purchasing, then that also limits our budget. So it helps, again, staying on budget. This covers our tricks and tips for shopping on a budget. Be mindful of your list, stick to your list, stay ahead of your menu plan, use those coupons, use the store coupons, use a grocery service if you don't have the time and it allows for convenience, and stay healthy.